Thanks everybody for joining. My name is Ziv Yekutieli. I'm the CEO of Monfort. Um, the global challenge that we're addressing in Monfort is that there are about 1 billion people who suffer from neurological disorders, which is making the treatment very expensive. Specifically, we're addressing the fact that diagnostics and treatment are based upon short and infrequent clinical visits. So we want to bridge between the patients and physician, and we're using smartphones in order to conduct traditional neurological tests. And our mission is to become the global standard of neurological evaluation in the clinic and at home. This is how we do it. We have first a physician who is setting a prescription to the patient that includes the test protocol that is needed, reminders to when to conduct the tests. The patient downloads a very simple, opens a link, it downloads an app. The app is conducting the tests, as I'm going to show in a minute, based on the protocol that the physician has asked for. There's a self-feedback for the patient, and then all the data is going through the cloud where we analyze all the data and provide the physicians with the results as if the patient was monitored in a dedicated lab. And it's as simple as downloading the app. The app name is called Encephalog. You have the QR on the screen. It will be available at the last slide. This is how a very short and basic test protocol looks like. In this case, we have two different tests. One to use to evaluate static balance, for which we use the gyroscope. There is then a test for evaluating tremor, for which we use the accelerometers. There's a lot of different other tests that are using different sensors in the smartphones, like the microphone, geolocation, everything that can be derived from a standard smartphone. So we don't need any additional hardware. And on the right, what you see is the self-feedback that the patient is getting for that particular test. Just to show you another example for a more detailed test that is called Timed Up and Go. This is a test when the patient is asked to stand up from a chair, walk a couple of meters, and then turn back walk back to the chair and sit down. It's a standard neurological evaluation that we can now conduct at home as if you're conducting this test in a dedicated motion lab. So you can see the pattern of the patient standing up from the chair, and then the patient is walking. We see the turning in 180-degree. That's the dark line that represents the heading of the patient. And then you walk back to the chair, and then you turn and sit down. And the accuracy and resolution of a standard smartphone that you carry with you right now allows us to identify each and every step, to put them one on top of the other, which gives us a very strong identification of gait problems, freezing of gait, etc. This is what you see on the lower left chart, and what you see on the lower right-hand chart. This is a sway chart that represents how much the person is shifting from side to side and from back to forth. Imagine that there is a drone taking picture of the patient as they advance, and this is a representation of that pattern. The physician can get the results in two different ways, one of which is the diagnostic screen, as you can see now. X represents the current result, and we compare it to healthy people, which are denoted in orange dots. These are people of the same gender and same age. And the blue dots are Parkinson's disease patients that we identified with the most resemblance to that person. So this helps the physician to diagnose the patient. And for the for the monitoring of the patient, for the longitudinal monitoring, we have this timely evaluation of the patient. So every time you change something in the patient modification, patient different treatment, or something changes with the condition, the physician can remotely see this, how this affecting the patient status in any of the digital markers that we provide. Most of these tests are already cleared to use by the FDA in different grades. We work already globally in most countries. Recently, we've started working with in Japan as well. We work with all the hospitals in Israel. We work with the Charité. We work with several of which are our clients, including Medtronic. Other than myself, we have Thema is our CTO, and we're being advised by key neurologist Professor Chagai Bergman, Professor Peter Levitt, and Professor Friedman Paul from Charité. And that's it. We're changing the way that physicians and patients interact with each other. All you need to do is to scan this QR code and get a full neurological lab into your own pocket, through which you can address it to any one of the patients. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ziv. Do we have any questions in the round? If not, I have a small question. Could you tell us which sensors from the smartphone are being used for the analysis?
Yes, so the sensors are depending on the kind of test that you want to conduct. So if it's a motor test, so for the most part, we use the accelerometers and gyroscope. We also use the touchscreen for cognitive tests. We use the microphone for voice analysis. We use the GPS for affective evaluation. It's a part of a measurement to evaluate clinical depression and anxiety. So every digital marker that the physicians need, we know which sensor is the one to use in order to obtain this information.